that we are here, which is one of the other things I love is reading suspense and thriller books. So that is hopefully what everyone is here today for, is for the edge of your seat suspense and thriller readers advisory. So hopefully I'm going to tell you a few things new today, mainly just going to go over kind of those two genres. They're really closely related, so of course that's why they're mashed here together in this webinar today. So, yep, thank y'all for chatting in that you can hear fine, and good morning. And also, speaking of the chat, you all use it to your heart's content. We'll do a quick poll right now and ask how many of you all consider yourself suspense and thriller readers. So you can do a yay or a nay, and that's fine too. And while y'all doing that, I'll reintroduce myself, a little bit of background, and introduce Kathy. Again, my name is Alicia McGrath, and I'm a CE consultant here at KDLA. But also, like I said, enjoy doing webinars when I have the chance. So this is why I'm coming at you today. And my colleague in Thriller here is Kathy Crum, and she is one of our cataloging gurus here at KDLA. But she's more of a mystery, but she still likes a little suspense and thrill in her life too. So she's going to be my chat partner today. So she'll be monitoring chat, and I'll probably be dragging her into the discussion a little bit too, because we have fun with these things. So without further ado, we are going to get started. This is my front screen. Screen's going to change, and we're going to get into the next screen. And that is, hopefully the presentation will come up. Woohoo! Wasn't coming up for me so much. Okay, yeah. Melissa Collins is not a blood and guts girl. Yep, and some of these, depending on what you're reading, they got some blood and guts. So, but again, that's one of the things to know too. Like I said, when you're doing readers advisory with your patrons, and if you're getting into this, and particularly also some of the mystery stuff too, asking them how much of that blood and guts they really want to read about or listen to, is something you want to talk about. So we're going to get started. And again, kind of one of the quintessentials, particularly for suspense, of course, you think, I do at least, immediately jump to Alfred Hitchcock. Of course, one of my favorite movies there, Rear Window. And this one is a hard. Again, that's why suspense and thriller are kind of mashed together in this presentation, because it's really hard to tell the difference. And quite frankly, I myself have not wrapped my head around a good difference kind of between the two. Kind of the more I read over and over again, I'm kind of like, okay, well, maybe I can kind of see that. But however way you want to think about it, I don't think you necessarily be wrong to lump them together. But like I said, might be a couple more questions you want to ask your patrons, as far as if they're leaning more towards one or the other. But through the things I've read, just a general thing they talk about, suspense novels are darker and more psychological. They, like I said, really build up that sense of something impending is going on. Where in a thriller, it's more the action and the movement and the pace than it is the tone of it. Even though the tone is suspenseful, it's more like the action and the constant moving and the adrenaline rush, which you get in a suspense novel, but not quite in the same way. Suspense novels more, building that anticipation, where sometimes thrillers, from page one, they're off like a shot and going. Some things have said, well, the English call them this, but us Americans call them that. Suspense is usually something that you see both sides, your hero or your protagonist, your main character, and then the villain's point of view. which thrillers more the main character's actions and thoughts. You don't necessarily get so much of the villain's point of view in a thriller, so that could be important there too. But like I said, pacing. Um, in both of them thrillers, usually your pacing is going to be extremely fast throughout the whole entire thing. You're not going to have any really slow downs. Where in a suspense, you can kind of have like that slow build, to the suspenseful or the main. Oh my gosh, at the end. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well when you're talking to your patrons. So a little bit of a difference there. And see, every time I talk about it and talk about it out loud, the more it kind of sinks into my brain, the difference. So. All right, just a little bit of history. Homer's Odyssey and Robert Louis Stevenson's Kidnapped, kind of the early forerunners of the this idea of thrilling your audience, or like I said, building up the suspense to oh my gosh, what's going to happen type thing. Um, so the thriller they're saying really came into its own in the 19th century with, of course, Last of the Mohicans and then 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So if either of you have read those or know somewhat about them, I've heard, of course, of both of them. I've never read both of them. Probably never plan on reading either one of them, but that's what a lot of the research says. Of course, the 20th century, you've got some of your pulp novels, a little bit more respectable pulp novels coming out with Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett. And you'll also, of course, see them in the mystery genre as well. So they kind of, cross over a little bit there. And then some of what they consider modern suspense novels there, which I've never read either of these either. But Riddle of the Sands and then For Just Men. So if you got anybody that wants to go back into the history of thrillers and suspense, here's some titles. Here you can give them and see what they think about it. But really didn't pick up until after the World War II. These genres really gained steam and came into the mainstream. And some of them can, like I said, go into the events and societal influences of the times as well. So there's just a brief little bit of history. Always helps sometimes to see, like I said, where things kind of start out at, particularly when it comes to genres and where we're at now. All right. So some other things to know, some characteristics of these two genres. Of course, you can always expect the worst. These are usually not happy, light readings. There's usually, something bad's going to happen, accidents, explosions, things like that. People are going to get killed. Of course, they have to have a villain. You got to have a bad guy to build the suspense and the thrills. And usually, of course, your main character is in dangerous situations. Some of these can be, like regular guy on the street. Some of them have like particular, careers that cause them to be in these dangerous situations. And of course, they have to rely on their own physical and mental abilities to survive. They're kind of like somewhat, in some cases, the lone wolf, where it's all on them, to ride the thrill ride to the end. And most of the time, they make it out alive. Some others might not, but they usually do. And then, of course, they have to have action and excitement. So it's usually a roller coaster ride up to the last page. Of course, that's more so for your thrillers, but your suspense ones can be as well. It just depends on how the author has chosen to, make it very suspenseful on like every other page, or if it's a slow ebb and flow of suspense. So usually readers of these two genres like it because usually they're set in, of course, in exotic locales, different places around the world. And of course, the reader vicariously gets a thrill themselves reading it. Page turner is usually, of course, one of the things associated with this. The reader is privy to the secrets, either what the protagonist knows or what the villain knows. They kind of, get the inside secrets as to what's going on, especially if it's, of course, if it's espionage type of thriller. They usually like the storyline. Usually in these, the storyline's pretty well, developed. It has to be, to pull off the suspense and, the thrills. Then, of course, the plot and pacing, like I said, usually or almost always for thrill readers, it's got to be fast. From page one, it's got to, you know, come out like a bullet and, be extremely action on every page. Then, of course, the characters. I think this sometimes goes across all genres, but people, usually like the really strong characters and the characters that kind of like are self-reliant, self-sufficient, can-do type of person, really strong character, of course, again, because they're in dangerous situations and they got to figure it out all on their own. So characters are usually pretty strong, pretty bold um, type of protagonist. So I just saw this and I thought it was kind of a funny thing. You're reading suspense or a thriller if, and this is just kind of this person named Gannon. This is their rules to reading adventure suspense. So I just thought it was kind of, funny. So I like that.
Number 10.
Number 10, Kathy likes number 10. Female serial killers are much more common than in real life. Oh, yeah, most definitely. The United States always wins. Secret weapons have cool code names. This particular book I'm reading right now, kind of has a little hint of this. Old KGB agents never die. They just pop up now and then, nastier than ever. So, and I like the the masters of the martial arts can kill with any part of their body, any part. So, it's just kind of, just thought of something funny, and a lot of these do hit really close to home when you're talking about, suspense and thriller readers. These are the things. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much, you can find a variation of almost all of these in these books. So just a lighthearted way to kind of also look at something that's very true to form when it comes to your suspense and thriller readers. So, like I said, I thought that was funny, so I figured I'd throw that in there. So, all right. Now we're talking a little bit about suspense. Thriller has a lot more subgenres to it, so we're going to go into that a little bit more here in just a couple minutes. But again, suspense, like I said, it could be suspenseful throughout the whole entire book, or it could have, like periods of suspense. And sometimes suspense and mystery can get confused. So I looked up in OCLC WorldCat, and they've got genre definitions. So I'm always usually definitions help you figure out, oh, that's how those are different. So usually with suspense, basically it's to elicit that feeling of frightened anticipation. Usually it's, the main character and the villain kind of duking it out, in the pages of the book. Versus with a mystery, usually you're dealing with detection and the solution of a crime. So that's the whole entire purpose of the mystery, is trying to solve that crime, where sometimes with suspense or a thriller, the crime happens, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a crime, but it's more the chase of it rather than solving, the crime. You might at the beginning of a suspense or thriller, and you might already know who did the crime, but it's who blew up the embassy or whatnot, and it's just the chase to, track them down and battle it out at the end. So, but sometimes it can get murky, like within this one. This little exercise I like to do, and this is just based on reading it. There's not really a right or wrong. It's just kind of like your opinion. This book called Stone Cold by C.J. Box, and of course you can read the little excerpt right there. And of course the very first sentence says, "Everything about the man is a mystery." So it talks about this guy that's got all this secret stuff, and then so he's, you got somebody that's supposed to come out there and find out what the truth is about this guy, because he's hiding secrets and things like that. So it's, of course, the story about these two men and uncovering their secrets and things like that. So um, if you were to put a genre sticker on Stone Cold by C.J. Box, and all you had to do have is this little excerpt to read from. If y'all wouldn't mind just chatting in what you all would put. Would y'all put a suspense sticker on it, or would you put a mystery sticker on it? So y'all can just chat in the chat there. And just like I said, there's no right or wrong answer unless you say this is a romance. Then I might slightly disagree with that one. But hey, who never knows? There might be a little romance in here. Could be some genre blending going on. Okay, so a couple of y'all say mystery, suspense. There you go. So, and again, if y'all were in my did the mystery readers advisory, this was something Kathy and I had fun with when we were putting genre stickers on. I think it was the large type books, wasn't it? And about, well, is it a suspense or is it a mystery? So there are things that's kind of hard, to figure out. So, but I think Kathy looked it up. Did you look it up? She looked it up in the World Cat catalog. So we'll see who Library of Congress or she did. I thought she looked it up.
I was looking up something else.
She was looking up something else to do with this. Okay, but we're gonna have her look up and see what it is, what they have decided it is. But thank you all very much. So yeah, so like I said, it's hard to tell with some of these, whether it's a mystery or suspense. I know it is just fresh in my mind because it's one of the books I'm reading right now, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But anyways, it's the fourth one in the Cormoran Strike series.
Let's see this one.
Okay, now somebody put it as suspense fiction. Somebody put it as murder investigations, which sometimes those would be mystery. Yeah, mystery's at the end there.
Yeah.
So again, this one's difficult. But yeah, like I said, the Cormoran Strike series, I think there might be called mysteries,
they
but
took the out.
Okay.
This record took the out.
Yeah,
They put both on it.
Yeah, one record put mystery fiction and suspense fiction on it. So again, like I said, one of those things that sometimes it can go either way. But so thank you all for that. I appreciate it. So, like I said, as long as you maybe know a little bit about the Joe Pickett novels, whether it's something your reader would like to read, regardless of whether it's strictly mystery or suspense. And one of the things I'll talk about earlier is usually people that read suspense, thriller genre, will cross over into mystery, so it's not a big stretch for some of them to do. So this is just, and this list is a few years old, so they've probably got some more recent authors on here. Because some libraries publish their reading list online, so this one, given credit to the Berwyn Public Library in Illinois, this is their suspense fiction list. So just some interesting ones there. So just wanted to let y'all look at that. Yeah, because some of them I kind of John Sanford. I'm usually he to me is. I think sometimes I consider his Prey series mystery, but I consider him suspense. He's one of those kind of to me that's on the fence a little bit. So, of course, one of the other places I went, I'm always like in my definitions. But here's and I like GoodReads as well for a lot of this stuff. There you go. Kathy's getting me a cough drop because I'm starting to feel that little tickle in my throat when I talk for more than 10 minutes straight. I usually don't talk for more than 10 minutes straight, so usually start getting a tickle in my throat. But so this is just their definition of suspense and some of their book titles that people have tagged as with suspense. So even though GoodReads is like a social media site, it's still got some good lists and stuff on it that it's a good resource that you can go to if you're looking for some books to recommend to some of your patrons, because they do have it broken down into genres. So, well, nonfiction, okay. Yeah, honestly, you could definitely have nonfiction that's suspense or a thriller. So I forget the guy that there's been like Devil in the White City. I've not read it, but about like Chicago World Fair, and so there are some nonfiction that would definitely fit in. It's not just fiction, but nonfiction would too. So thank you for Patricia. I appreciate that. So I was totally ignoring nonfiction. That was bad of me. So
Larson.
okay, Eric Larson, Devil in the White City. Yeah, Murder, Magic, and Madness at I think the Chicago World's Fair. So that would be a nonfiction one. That would be suspense and thriller. So here's their definition of thriller. Like I said, you see they have it into suspense and thriller broken up a little bit, and some titles there as well. So. All right, so now we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about thriller, because thriller is one of the genres that has been broken down into some subgenres there as well. So now this is from the Wakefield Public Library's webpage, which I didn't check that link there, so hopefully it's still accurate link. But that thrillwriters.org, I have a resource page at the end, and that one is still correct. So this is just again another trying to kind of get across what people define as thriller, so you can get in your head, kind of a little bit of difference or a little bit more kind of idea about when people come in and say they're looking for this, be like, okay, that sounds like that's a thriller. So but I like that. By definition, if a thriller does not thrill, it is not doing its job. So if it's not thrilling, then it's not a thriller. so okay. Again, like you said, emphasis on the action adventure. And usually, like I said, your protagonist is going to take a proactive role in those events. They're going to be right in the thick of things. So they usually classify thrillers into 4 basic types. There's a chase and pursuit. There's you're going on a quest, a journey, or they have a mission. So again, another book called Genre Reflecting. That was their definition right there. Speeds up the pulse or shortens their breath. So here's another resource that I like for a bunch of different genres, but and I didn't update this page, but it's a good source here. It's Fantastic Fictions, and this is from a few years ago what their thriller page looked like. So I got another good resource to go to when you have some patrons and you're trying to find a new thriller series or whatnot for them to read. So, all right, here we're going to get into our subgenres. The really fun. All right, so the first one is adventure thrillers. Okay, I need more coffee apparently. So, and your adventure thrillers are going to be more plot driven. The character development and details are not going to be as important. It's more the plot and what's going on. So some suggested authors here are one source always had like an essential author and then other authors. So according to the one source, the essential author here is Clive Cussler, and then Ted Bell's Alexander Hawke series, and then James Rollins. So we won't spend a whole lot of time on these. Because y'all can all read most of it for yourself, and just give you an idea of all the different ones. So when you're talking to your patrons, you might want to kind of see maybe if they would fall into one of these categories they might like better. Then you got your conspiracy thrillers, of course. So you've got your main character, probably has some help from some friends, some experts that dabble in this or that they can go to and ask them questions or find out more information. And of course, they're trying to expose the truth against that group of people, them, that is considered the villain. So conspiracy thrillers can be divided into even more subsets: the espionage thriller and the religious conspiracy thriller. So first, we're going to talk about your espionage thriller. Of course, That's usually your spies and related things related to that. So some suggested authors here. Of course, they're saying the essential author that kind of definitely epitomizes this type of subgenre is Daniel Silva. But you see, you got some others there as well. So lots to choose from in this one. Of course, Ian Fleming, notorious for your Bond series of books. So, all right. And then, of course, your religious conspiracy thrillers all started in 2003 with, of course, The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. So these borrow a little bit from mystery, because you can see they're puzzle driven, and usually they deal with theological history. So there's some suggested authors in there, some of their series too. So sometimes, like I said, good. Like with mysteries, thriller and suspense can also be, have a lot of series going on. So that usually, can help your patrons as well if they have a series that they like. Then, or start them on a series and they have quite a few they can read before they read everything. And then while they're waiting for the next book in the series to come out, you can hopefully point them to something else. So, all right, then you've got your crime thrillers. And these are usually from people who live to break the law. So a very modern example here is Dexter. Of course, Dexter, believe he works, has something to do with law enforcement, like he works in the morgue or something like that. But he is actually a serial killer, I believe, himself. So he goes out and he rights wrongs, and those people that have escaped justice, he takes it upon himself to exact justice. So it's an interesting twist there. So like I said, your villains are usually criminals, maybe bad cops. Like I said, in these, you expect deception, betrayals, violent resolutions, which I'm assuming, I've never read Dexter, but I'm assuming is probably pretty violent and pretty gruesome. So that would be Melissa Collins. This would probably not be one that you would enjoy, but maybe, like you said, maybe some of your patrons might. So there's some of your suggested authors there. So that Jeffrey Lindsay is the one that has done Dexter. So, all right. Then you've got your cyber and techno thrillers. So these are for the people that like their thrills, but also like their technology thrown into it as well. So for those cutting edge technology folks, this is a subgenre they would be interested in. And still, you're uncovering secrets, so you're still, got some stuff going on. So usually sometimes it's pretty detailed. Of course, I think people that are into technology usually like that detailed stuff. So there's suggested authors there, and and I think the PJ Tracy, sometimes they're long, and I stopped reading this series. I think I read the first one or two, and it was good, but I stopped after that. Might still be some of that Monkey Wrench series, but I think they're few and far between these days. So there's your cyber and techno thrillers. And then your financial thrillers. So this is more like your industry insiders, finding those loopholes, doing things, that they shouldn't do. And usually, of course, huge amounts of money are at stake. So, of course, Stephen Fry is kind of like the king of the financial thrillers. But and in the last few years, Joseph Finder's become more popular. And then Norm Vonnegut, I'm not too familiar with him, but Fry and Finder, I'm a little bit more familiar with their names. So, all right. Then you have your forensic thrillers, and there's a lot of these. And this, like I said, is a little bit different than, say, when I think forensic, I always think the Kay Scarpetta novels. but those are sometimes considered more mystery rather than forensic thrillers. So this, of course, still has elaborate detail, but of course it's going to be details about state-of-the-art detection methods, or forensic information. So, two essential authors, Jeffrey Deaver and Iris Johansson, and Kathy Reichs. Of course, that's the Bones TV series that's on now is based on her books. But you have some others there. I think even Rizzoli and Isles was a TV show at one time. Jefferson and Bass is actually two gentlemen, I believe, and that's their last names. And it's based on the infamous, and I don't know, and this is something at least I've learned by reading. It's a fiction, Body Farm, which is actually down, I think, near Knoxville, Tennessee, at University of Tennessee, where they study things, the decomposition of various things. So that helps with, of course, forensic science there. So, just a little background information there. So, all right, then you have your law enforcement thrillers. Of course, yeah, it's a real place. So it is not one of the places I'd like to go visit, but it's interesting to know that people do these things. Okay. So the law enforcement thrillers sometimes go hand in hand with the legal or legal mysteries. Key points that make it into a thriller and not a mystery is the main character is at more increased risk. They're doing more risky things than maybe your run-of-the-mill law enforcement person would do. They're usually, of course, going on their own to do it, so they're the ones that are in more danger. And the end focus is stopping the villain permanently, so not necessarily getting them thrown in jail, but it's offing them. So, some suggested authors here in this series or in this genre as well. There. So, as you see, Jeffrey Deaver, he pops up in a different place now. So some of them, like I said, even cross subgenres. Because Ace Atkins was also in one of the subgenres a few slides ago. He's on my list of eventually to read him sometime. Unless I find other people to read first. So there's your law enforcement thrillers. And then, of course, your legal thrillers are going to be your courtroom type genres with the legal maneuvering, of course, is one of the things that people like about these thrillers, getting into the law and legal procedures and different things like that. So Scott Turo's Reversible Errors, Linda Fairstein's The Dead House. So that, and of course, that's a series as well. And so pretty much as you can tell, all of these are series. Anybody that has like a name in parentheses, that's the name of the series or the series character. So this one's got quite a few authors to choose from. And as you can see under here, legal thrillers, they put John Grisham in here, which like I said, I haven't read anything of his, but I know sometimes they'll throw him in mystery as well. So, like I said, he's one of those that maybe could go either way. But Kathy's shaking her head. She seems to be agreeing with the legal thrillers. Maybe.
I'm just saying we put him in suspense.
Okay, so see, we here at the State Library, we put John Grisham in suspense instead of mystery. So.
Unless it's those odd books when they're like, he's writing about Christmas and stuff.
Okay, yes. We don't put the Christmas ones in the thriller. And like I said, he's got a few of those. I forget who else does that. Some of them come out with
David
these.
Baldacci.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. I think James Patterson's done that as well. Throw you for a curveball and write something totally not within their normal genre. All right, so we're going from law enforcement and legal to medical thrillers. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that are also in thrillers that are centered around certain careers, certain jobs, and things like that too. So that might be something maybe to ask your patron. There might be a job that they really are just, don't want to know anything about. So they might not be interested in, like, say, medical thrillers or legal or the financial things like that. So, of course, with medical thrillers, you're dealing with some sort of, medicine, diseases, different things like that. So, of course, major one for this one is going to be Robin Cook. And he's got, I don't think he's even around anymore, but he's been writing, I know, since like the back in the 80s and things like that. He's kind of like classic medical thrillers. So you got a couple other there as well. And Kat is going to look up Robin Cook for me too. He is no longer.
No, it's different Robin Cook.
Okay.
Oh, is he still with us?
Oh, he is still with us. Yeah, he is. He was born in 1940. So Robin Cook is still with us. I don't necessarily think he's writing anymore,
He's an ophthalmologist.
Oh, okay, ophthalmologist. Learn something new. So ophthalmologist and medical thriller writer as well. But like I said, he's
wrote a book last year.
Well, he wrote a book last year. Wow, of course he still is writing. So but he's kind of your classic in this subgenre of thrillers. So now, see, it never ends. Like I said, there's not thousands, but there's a lot of subgenres of thrillers. So here is your military techno thriller. So we're combining the military with technology. So the quintessential thing to describe this one is courageous people with cool gadgetry that protect us. So if you got somebody that likes a lot of military information and lingo, they would like things like that. They usually try not to make them too tied to any one thing, so that way you can pick it up now, pick it up 10 years from now, and it'd still be readable. So prime example of this one is Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan series, and you've got a few other ones there as well. All right. Oh, these probably unfortunately be timeless as well. Political thrillers. So these are usually your intrepid reporters trying to get to the bottom of a story, or somebody that's, what they say, wide-eyed innocent, that is going to right or wrong. They're going to uncover those really corrupt politicians. So it usually has the backroom finagling details. So again, kind of like with the legal thrillers, you got that finagling, different things like that, where this was in kind of like the back rooms of, political places, and the other one is in like the courtrooms. So of course, some suggested authors here, definitely David Baldacci's Camel Club, and then Brad Meltzer, and then Michael Lawson as well. All right. Now, this one is underneath the thriller, but it's also, of course, definitely a big part of suspense is the psychological suspense genre as well. So the prime example here, of course, is The Night Gardener by George Pelecanos, however you pronounce that. Yeah, but got some other examples here as well. So that's a big one, big genre as well that a lot of people like to read in. So then you have your religious thrillers. Usually sometimes a little bit more conservative audience. Heroes rely on God's assistance to help them. Usually there's two categories of religious thrillers, the inspired and the spiritual warfare. So some suggested authors in this one, of course, Ted Dekker, Terry Blackstock, T. Davis Bunn. T. Davis Bunn, he writes in several or a couple different genres. So you really got to be careful with him, that when you're recommending him, you're recommending, the more appropriate title of his. So And then a couple other there, a couple some standalones and some series to choose from as well. All right, then you got your Vigilante. So, like I said, that's your main characters. They're not part of law enforcement. They're kind of, on their own code of justice, and of course, they're fighting for, those that have been something unjustly done to them, and they're going to right a wrong. So it's what they also refer to as your white knight thrillers. And these, again, of course, Vigilante, are extremely violent. So this is not, you know, and these can even be more violent than what your normal maybe thriller readers are okay with. So you really want to watch when you recommend the vigilante type thrillers, that they're okay with the level of violence that they will probably find in these. So, of course, the Jack Reacher series by Lee Child is an good example of vigilante, and you've got some other ones there as well. Like I said, as you can see, lots of different series in here to choose from. Okay, so just some overall trends that suspense and thrillers. These are a few years old. I haven't found anything super recent about them. Of course, serial murders are always extremely popular in thrillers, and of course, a lot of them have become more increasingly violent, such as, like I said, the Dexter, and things like that. Some of them here recently have kind of turned a little bit more historical and featuring World Wars One and Two, um, and then of course more emphasis on technology and forensics. And it also works for the good guys and for the bad guys as well. And then you're seeing more international settings and more international characters, of course, since terrorists and conspiracies have also become more popular subject matters. Also has some supernatural elements playing a bigger role, and that's you've seen that across a lot of genres. Your romance, your mystery, different things like that. And then, of course, as we've talked about going through here, wider audiences due to being highly adaptable to media. As we've talked about going through here, lots of these have been turned into either movies or TV series, different things like that. So they do play well. So sometimes you'll have people coming in that maybe have watched the TV series and now want to read the books or different things like that. So there has been some growth in the apocalyptic thrillers and also Christian thrillers, and you've got more women authors and characters. So if you do have someone that's coming in that does want some female characters, but also likes their suspense and thrillers, they've got a few more. They've got some more choices as well. So those are just, like I said, some overall trends. Like I said, these are a few years old, but I think they're still pretty applicable to today. So just want to do one main source that most of you all, if you're members of KYVL, you have access to, and I know Novelist is hopefully not a stranger to you all. But if you're doing more readers advisory and stuff, it does come in really helpful. So I just wanted to point out real quick, of course, where to find it. KYVL under databases. There, you just click on that minus arrow, and not the one over here where it says about KYVL ask, because I was clicking on that one and going, wait a minute, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's over here. That's the one I want to be at. So it's kind of like those credit card the screens when it tells you to sign it. I always want to go towards the one that says cancel for some reason, because it's right there at the end of where I do my signature. So I know one day I'm going to hit cancel and cancel my whole credit card transaction. So, but anyways. So databases, you want to go down there, of course, to Novelist and click on there. And I did include this in here because it's really self-explanatory. But for whatever reason, another page comes up, and it just has the little Novelist box logo with a little explanation about it. Of course, you just click that, and then you'll finally get into the search screen for Novelist, which they have changed this over the years. But a couple of the places I usually go is BrowseBy, and then of course, especially for and they actually have a reader's advisory, I believe, under this one. But for under, especially foreign quick links, they do have some information in here that's useful to you all just in general as doing public service, particularly reader's advisory. Um, some of them have information about particular genres if you need to do a quick study on some of them, and they even have reading lists as well. So it's, like I said, it's a good source to start. And then, like I said, you got some of your genres right here that you can click on, and it has some of the ages as well. So that helps if you're talking to adults, teens, and then younger children as well. So like I said, use your novelist. And also like GoodReads, fantastic fiction. There's a whole bunch out there for readers advisory that comes in really handy. Like I said, a lot of public libraries have their own genre pages, so they're a good source as well. So just some web resources there. You have the International Thriller Writers Organization right there, and they also, I believe, they give out an award at least every year. So that's a good place to go find some authors, and particularly some that have won awards. Then the Big Thrill is on here too. Now this one, the next one, Stop You're Killing Me, is Kathy gave me put me onto this one years ago, and I still use it. It's got a lot of mystery on there too, but what it's really good with is series. It has all of your titles in your different series, and I think normally with this you can search it by the series character, you can search it by the author, so it's really, really helpful. But it does focus on your mysteries and some of your suspense and maybe some thrillers in there as well. And then another one that focuses on thrillers and suspense is the Rap Sheet, and then there's your fantastic fiction. And then Joyce Sarix, which you'll see her name a lot associated with Reader's Advisory. She's got article there in Novelist. And there's the long link there, but you can also just go in Novelist and look under the BrowseBy Suspense Thriller, and her article will come up where she talks a little bit about the difference between suspense and thriller and tips on how to help your patrons find books in those genres, what they maybe are looking for, different things like that. So it's really helpful. And then there is a couple books. Genre Reflecting has a bunch of different genres. So if you do a lot of reader's advisory, that's a good book to kind of have to educate yourself on the different genres. But they do have one particularly for adventure and suspense, and there's that Gannon, a gentleman that had the funny list. So I got a lot of information from his Blood, Bedlam, Bullets, and Bad Guys. So, excuse me. So there's some web resources there. And want to finish off today, always, with just saying, if y'all ever need any help, definitely don't hesitate to give us a call here at the State Library at KDLA. So, and I tested this out this morning, and that's still our 1-800 number. And we are still option 3. So if you would rather talk to us electronically, there's a couple links there. Just want to put in for the kit request. Particularly if you have book clubs that are big mystery or thriller or suspense readers, or book clubs in general, we have, of course, book discussion kits. And then if you have an information request, you can do an Ask a Librarian there if you needed us to find something for you. So I think that is it for today, just in time, because my cough drop did not help me a whole lot. So we're going to click over to our last page. So don't go yet. Nobody leave yet. So got a couple different things here for you. The most important one is the web links up here. That's going to take you to our survey. So if you just want to click on that Edge of Seat Suspense Thriller Survey, and then click on the Browse to. It'll take you out to our Survey Monkey survey. Sorry. If y'all wouldn't mind just answering that real quick, the good, bad, and the ugly about the webinar today, we greatly appreciate it. And then, as always, I sent the handout out just a little bit before class started, but if you'd like the full set of slides here, you just under Files, click that Edge Seat Full, so it turns into what I call lovely UK blue, and then click on Download File, and it'll download that PDF directly to your computer, so you can have it right there on your computer. So thank you all very much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, we will, Ken and I will be here for a few more minutes in the chat. And if not, you all have a very good rest of your Thursday. The sun is finally coming out here in Frankfurt, so it was we'll melt all that ice that was encased everything. So hopefully you all are fine where you are as well. So enjoy the rest of your day. We hope to see you in one of our webinars in the future. And we'll stick around if you have any questions. Thank you all so much.